Welcome to our weekly market review. It's brought to you by ETM Analytics and Treasury One. As per usual, I'm joined by currency strategist Andre Cilliers. Andre, for us in South Africa, that string of public holidays that we usually get around March has finally come to an end. You know, those days where they switch your Tuesdays for your Mondays and you don't know if it's Thursday or Friday. And so that's at least now done. And then also, obviously, this weekend we saw the conflict in Iran has kind of reached a stalemate. It's like a frozen conflict. So it gives us an opportunity to highlight something else going on in the world, most notably with the Japanese yen. Now, Japan has not been a normal situation for a very long time. Remember, they had those negative interest rates. They finally bumped it up above the zero line. It's still very low interest rates. And they're stuck with a massive debt pile. And this is making things complicated for Japan at the moment, right? Because their currency has been coming under some bouts of pressure last week.
Yes. As far as the war is concerned, it's fantastic to speak about something else. I don't refer to anything else that other than the world being held hostage. And whilst we are hostages of this war, we can just as well look at some other things. In terms of Japan, structural decline. Now, we can sort of look at all sorts of things. Fortunately, I am old, so I'm allowed to say this. They are a glorified old age home. The population is getting older and older and older, and old people do not buy all sorts of goods anymore because they don't need all this stuff. And if they spend money, a lot of them spend their money in countries outside of where they stay because they travel. So Japan has got a problem in the sense that they need an export-led growth. And we're not seeing this massive growth in exports over the world, and the war has certainly not added to that. At the same time, their inflation is never really, and has not been for a long time, on a runaway streak because of this spending problem that people don't spend money. And so their currency has also not been doing well. Now, there's been some intervention, but they can also not, because of this massive debt pile that you've mentioned, have increased interest rates at a rapid pace, because if that were to happen, then you'll have some defaults because of all the debt. And the cost for the government would be extremely high because a lot of that is, government debt. It's not just corporate debt. So a problem. So on the one end, you have a central bank that wants the currency a little bit stronger and they intervene. And on the other end, you have the federal treasury or the government treasury and they buy bonds. So on the one end, you're trying to prop up the currency, and on the other end, you are actually working against what happens from the central bank side. So not really going anywhere. And if you ask me, it's going to be for a long time that it's not really going anywhere unless serious structural changes happens and a fantastic economic growth in the world happens and there's a really great export-led increase in their economy.
And this is concerning to everyone because it was I think it was 2 years ago when they started raising interest rates. We saw that speed wobble that happened across financial markets due to the Japanese yen carry trade, of course. So, what happens there, it does actually have very interesting implications for everywhere else. But I agree with you, Andre Cilliers. I think it's going to be a tricky situation for a very long time and not exactly sure how they're going to find themselves out of this tight spot. But moving over to the US, obviously April's non-farm payrolls is expected. There's expected to be some slowdown in the jobs market, not significantly, but at least it's still coming down. Now for the Fed, this will be hot on their radar, right? Because as much as the inflation expectations have changed due to the Hormuz Strait, they're still keeping their eye on this one as well to kind of find, the balancing middle ground for the monetary policy going forward.
Yes, with unemployment above 4%, job creation, if you look at the yellow line, new jobs a little bit on the decline, unemployment slightly on the upward trajectory, labor market wages declining. So that labor market declining works towards lower inflation. Lower inflation works towards lower interest rates. But we all know, and I don't want to go into that in depth now because we have done it many times. The war will have an impact on inflation. With wages or job creation and unemployment being one of the key places where the Federal Reserve looks towards changing and managing monetary policy, and the other one being inflation, the scale sort of says to me, if unemployment is on the increase and inflation is also on the increase, then interest rates are going to go nowhere. It's not really going to go up, and it's not really going to come down. So that narrative of an exiting Mr. Powell of higher for longer is going to be the narrative by the incoming president of the Federal Reserve, most likely as well.
There's obviously still a lot of uncertainty in the markets, especially linked to the topic that we shall not mention in this podcast. Of course, I'm speaking about the Iran conflict. So how's the Rand still holding up?
Well, now this is where the Middle East conflict does come in a little bit. There is still discussions on normalizing or trying to normalize the traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. So there is still stuff going on behind the scenes to try and normalize at least the flow of ships through the Strait of Hormuz. If that's the case, and that is what's happened early this morning, with words being mentioned by President Trump, is why the Rand came in below the 60s, slightly above the 60s now. So sort of treading water, watching that situation unfold very, very closely. My information says that there was 14 points given to the Americans to look at from the Iranian side. The information to me says that they've answered to that. It's lying somewhere in Pakistan. We're waiting to see what happens. This simply just tells me that there is still discussions. The discussions still holds, like I said, everybody hostage. And that simply means that we're treading water, not really going anywhere in the 1625, 1675 range, and quite happy being there whilst we're hostages and treading water.
Yeah, it's a frozen conflict right now. There's not really peace. There's no real war. It's somewhere in the middle in between as these two countries try and come to an agreement, which from where I'm sitting is going to be incredibly difficult because for both Washington and Tehran, the nuclear developments is a red line, and neither parties are willing to give way on that necessarily. And of course, none of them wants to lose face. And meanwhile, Iran is just increasing its grip on that Strait of Hormuz, causing everyone some panic and speed wobbles. So I don't think this is going to be an easy resolve. I think this frozen conflict is going to be with us for some time. So for that, we're going to hold on to our hats and see how this plays out. And I'm in George, so if I don't flood away in the next couple of days, Andre, we will then chat again next week.
Thank you very much.